I'm about as real as they come.
All my beats tailored by Drew. House Digital.
Maserati Rick in Detroit. Convertible bird in Miami. Graduated summa cum laude. Strip club made a tsunami. Carlton Hines with the ball game. Grateful Edmonds with the snowflakes. Craig Pettis in the M-Town. Sal Magluta with the boat game. Falcone with the cocaine. Like Freeway Ricky with the plug game. Like Monster Cody in South Central. Larry Davis from close range.
On October 16, 2002, Darrell Brooks kicked in the Dawsons' front door, doused the house in gasoline, and set it on fire, killing Angela Dawson, her husband, and 5 kids. The fire was in retaliation for the Dawsons reporting drug activity in front of their home.
It was our best interest to come up and to memorialize this Dawson family because they stood for something. They stood for the principles that they were not going to let people and friends in their neighborhood or in their house, in their area, because of drug activity.
In 2002, a local drug dealer firebombed a Baltimore family's home with them inside it. Not one member of the Dawson family survived. The crime redefined witness intimidation in Baltimore City.
People were just devastated by it.
Andrea Smith was a federal prosecutor then.
One of my colleagues tried the case in federal court.
The targeted murders led Maryland's governor at the time to introduce legislation that would allow witnesses who had been intimidated to accuse a defendant without appearing in court. While a version of the measure did become law, over the past decade and a half, it's fallen short as an effective tool.
Very limited set of facts where a prosecutor is going to be able to use it. First of all, the state statute requires that it's only allowed to be used in certain trials. My feeling is that it shouldn't matter what the underlying crime is. If someone's going to intimidate or kill a witness, that's pretty serious.
Looking at me in court. It's just a scary whole situation.
The defendant this man testified against was accused of murder.
They don't really know what's going on behind the scenes of the state's attorney, of the witnesses.
While this witness was never intimidated, he did fear for his safety, as did police and prosecutors. So much so, he and his family were relocated temporarily.
The fear is real and the threat is real in too many cases. Absolutely.
According to the city state's attorney's office, it has spent more than $4 million in taxpayer money to beef up services for witnesses. Even so, last year alone, the office dropped more than a third of its felony cases because of uncooperative witnesses and/or victims, many of them too scared to testify.
I felt like I was grave diamonds, Mr. Popalot. After I left out of that courtroom, I felt like, oh man, somebody's going to kill me. Like, that's all I kept thinking, somebody's going to kill me. I got to get me and my family out of here.
If this law was tweaked a bit to be more user-friendly for the prosecution, would we necessarily see a difference in the amount of crime we're seeing in the city?
Well, every little thing helps. That's going to be a better tool,
17 years since the Dawson family was killed when a firebomb was thrown into their home, engulfing it in flames. A local drug dealer was found responsible for killing all 7 members of the family inside in retaliation after Angela Dawson reported him to police. It was a crime so gruesome, it rocked the neighborhood to its core.
And today, some neighbors are still healing. Maxine Stryker is live from Preston Street, where the family once lived. Maxine, we understand many neighbors remember it like it was yesterday.
Kai, they tell me it doesn't feel like 17 years ago that this happened. They still remember the powerful smoke, the sound of the sirens. It seems like that day was just yesterday.
As rain falls on East Preston Street,
it's the same way it was that morning.
Memories come flooding back to Russell Keene.
You can remember like it was yesterday.
They're tragic memories from this day 17 years ago.
It was just horrible.
It's the day a drug dealer attacked the Dawson family home with a firebomb in retaliation for Angela Dawson alerting police to drug activity in her neighborhood.
It's unbelievable how it was. I mean, the fire on that second floor, the fire was just jumping out there, you know, and the smoke was, you could smell the smoke in the house all the way down the street.
The fire killed Angela, her husband, and her 5 children.
Her whole family at one time.
And devastated the neighborhood.
When my daughter came home, she said that she seen them bring the bodies out.
And it was horrible when they brought those people out the house. I mean, really horrible.
Now, 17 years later, It's as if the Dawson family's tears are falling from dark skies as their neighbors remind them they'll never be forgotten.
There was no reason, really, no reason for it to happen to them children or the family at all.
The Dawson Safe Haven Center now stands here where the family's home once was. It's a place for children to come after school, for mentoring, and to do homework. Coming up at 5, we look more into witness intimidation and the effect it has on the city. Reporting live for now in East Baltimore, Maxine Stryker, Fox 45 News.
Yo, we back. It's your boy Popalot. Mobb ties. We on our way to Maryland with it. Baltimore. East Baltimore. All my real G's, y'all get in the comment box. Y'all know the road call. Y'all know how we rocking. Now, today, we are going to be covering pretty much a story of tragedy. Not sure how many of you guys heard about this or how much light was shed on it, but it was new to me, and it was a subject that felt like I had to cover on Mobb Ties to get the opinions of the people. Now, today we're going to be covering a gentleman by the gentleman. It's a stretch, but we're going to be covering a guy by the name of Darrell Brooks. Now, a little bit about Darrell Brooks. Based on my accounts, he was, well, I got anywhere mentioned from a petty drug dealer to a low-level trafficker. So whatever you want to take from that. And he was accused and pretty much pled guilty to firebombing a family and pretty much murdering an entire family. And this is pretty much why I really wanted to cover this story, because I wanted to get dialogue, because it seems like we know the game is changing, but I'm just trying to gauge the temperature of the game, if you know what I'm talking about. Now, this story takes place circa 2002, and that's going to be a very important time in Baltimore history, because Baltimore is almost like the headquarters, to be honest, for the Stop Snitching campaign. And we all know Skinny Shug. Salute the boy Skinny Shug. We know he was a part of that movement. He was in Baltimore. And pretty much they're going to say that the Dawsons were killed for reporting drug dealing. I seen, based on my research, that at one point in 2001, they called the authorities 35 times to pretty much report drug dealing. They called 911 and 311, which is, I want to say, is the non-emergency number. And they pretty much would report everything from them being on the corner smoking blunts to them being in front of their building selling drugs. And that's another question I want to ask. So here's the scenario. So you and your family move to a new neighborhood, but it's some dudes in the front of your house as you move there, and you know they're doing illegal activity, but you have 4 and 5 kids that walk in and out of this door every day. What's the position, or what's your position in that? How is someone to deal with that situation? Because apparently the Dawsons went to the police, and that was not it wasn't actually the first time that their house was firebombed. Actually, it was attempted to be firebombed 2 weeks before the actual firebombing occurred. That one just happened to not go off somehow. So it was just a long string of back and forth. And I see where pretty much 2 days before the supposed firebombing, they were not only having issues with Darrell Brooks, who was a neighbor to another gentleman that they ended up having problems with, and who will become a suspect in the murders, because I want to say Angela Davis went to court 2 days and filed assault charges against a gentleman by the name of John L. Henry. They knew him as Jonathan L. Colbert, who was 18 at the time. So right after the fires happened, he was pretty much the prime suspect, because he was one of the main people that they was reporting, but he was the neighbor of the assailant in this case, and it would end up being picked up by the federal government. And I would think they did that in order to try to leverage the death penalty, but he would end up copping out and pleading guilty to the charges and ended up serving a life sentence. But y'all get in the comment box. Y'all let me know what's y'all take on this situation. So we all know it's the code, stop snitching if you in the game. But are there any civilians anymore? What's the rules on that? Y'all know what it is, man. Y'all make sure y'all follow me on Instagram, Twitter. It's your boy POP_A_LOT. We gonna be back with some more real Trill Spill shit. Make sure y'all hit the bell under this video. Y'all subscribe and just get at me. Let me know who we need to cover, where we need to go. Y'all know what it is. The Mobb. Ties.